Welcome to Vintage Noise. Today, we are getting into a car that is just, it's a masterclass in survival and ingenuity from the absolute heart of the Great Depression.
We are talking about the 1933 Chevrolet.
The 33 Chevy, and specifically the Series CA, which had this sort of secret dual identity. It was crammed with tech that was way ahead of its time for the price.
Absolutely. And our goal here is to really get into the nuts and bolts of it, the little production quirks and design choices that make this specific model year stand out.
Right, down to the details you'd only find in the old factory books. This is the story of how a car helped keep Chevrolet at #1 when really the whole economy was hitting rock bottom.
So let's start with that dual identity, because that's a fantastic bit of automotive trivia.
Okay, let's do it.
When production started for the 33 model year, the car was officially the Series CA Eagle.
The Eagle, that's a strong name. But it didn't last long, did it? Why would they drop a name like that just a few months in?
Well, the change happened really fast. In February of 33, Chevrolet decided to launch a second, much cheaper car, the Series CC Standard 6.
Ah, so they needed a way to differentiate.
Exactly. The original Eagle was the premium car, so to show it was a step up, they rebranded it. It became the Master.
The Master and the Standard. And that was a big deal for them, wasn't it?
It was huge. It was the first time in 10 years Chevy had a two-car lineup on different wheelbases. A massive risk, in the middle of the Depression.
But it paid off. You could really see the difference just in the car's stance. The Master Eagle, it rode on a 110-inch wheelbase.
Which was actually an inch longer than its predecessor, the 32 Confederate.
Right, so the top model gets bigger, more impressive.
And the budget model, the Standard, got smaller.
Yeah.
It was on a 107-inch wheelbase, a full 3 inches shorter to, really emphasize the cost cutting.
Okay, so for all the collectors and real enthusiasts listening, how do you tell an early Eagle from a later Master? If they look pretty much identical.
This is one of my favorite little details. It all comes down to the front door vent windows, the little triangular windows.
Pinocchio drafts.
Exactly. On the original Eagle models, that vertical chrome bar between the vent window and the main window, it was designed to actually go down into the door when you rolled the main window down.
The whole post went down with the glass?
The whole thing. It was a really complex mechanism. But on the later Master models, they simplified things, probably to save a few cents on each car.
So the post stayed fixed.
It stayed fixed. It didn't move. And that one tiny, tiny change is the only way to be 100% sure if you're looking at an early Eagle or a later Master.
That is just the kind of detail I love. Okay, beyond that, let's talk about the look of the car. Because the 33 has this incredible one-year-only design.
It really does. All new sheet metal. Chevrolet called it Airstream styling.
And you can spot it a mile away, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. The key identifier for a 33 is that everything's slanted at the same angle. The hood doors, the grille, the windshield, the A-pillars, it all leans back together.
It gives it this incredibly sleek, unified look. Like it's moving even when it's standing still. It feels so optimistic for such a dark time.
It was a very deliberate statement. It made the car look more expensive, more integrated. It was Chevy saying, we're moving into the future.
Okay, let's move on to that streamlined hood and talk about the engine, the heart of this thing.
The famous overhead valve inline 6, known to pretty much everyone who's ever worked on one as the stove bolt 6.
The stove bolt, why that nickname?
It came from the big, simple slot head bolts they used all over it. The name just implied it was simple and basically bomb-proof, just incredibly durable.
And what kind of power are we talking about here in 1933?
It was a 3.2-liter or 194 cubic inches, and it put out a very respectable 65 horsepower at 2,800 RPM.
65 horsepower. That was outclassing a lot of its rivals, wasn't it?
It was, especially the four-cylinder competition, and they did it with a low compression ratio, just 5.2 to 1, which just speaks to how ruggedly it was built.
I saw a detail about the fuel system that just screams 1930s, the Carter W1 carburetor, and something called an octane selector.
The octane selector. Yeah, that's a forgotten piece of tech. Fuel quality back then was all over the place.
Inconsistent, right?
Very. And bad fuel could cause terrible engine knock. So this little selector on the dash let you manually tweak the ignition timing on the fly to match whatever quality of gas you just bought.
So you could protect your engine.
Wow.
But this is where it gets really interesting for me. The technology they packed into the transmission.
Oh, this was a game changer. It was a standard 3-speed manual, but it was loaded with features you'd only expect to find on, A Cadillac back
You're
then.
talking about the synchro mesh gear shifting?
Synchro mesh and a silent second-speed transmission.
So for anyone listening who's never had the pleasure of driving a pre-war car without it, what did synchro mesh actually do for the driver?
It meant you didn't have to double clutch anymore. Before synchros, you had to be really skilled to match engine speed to gear speed, or you'd get that horrible grinding sound.
The gear clash.
Exactly. Synchro mesh did that matching for you automatically. It made shifting smooth, quiet, and just easy. It took all the fear out of it for the average person.
So it made driving more accessible. And there were other gadgets too, like improved freewheeling and the starter rater.
Right. Freewheeling let the car coast when you took your foot off the gas, which saved precious fuel. Very important then.
And the starter rater, that just sounds made up.
It's real. It combined the starter with the accelerator pedal. So you turn the key and then just press the gas pedal to start the engine. No separate starter button on the floor or dash.
So it's like a primitive auto start system?
In a way, yeah. All these features were about making driving less stressful, more comfortable, and more efficient for people who had a lot on their minds already.
And that focus on comfort went beyond the drivetrain, didn't it?
It did. The bodies were Fisherwood and steel construction. And they put a lot of effort into things like the cushion-balanced engine mounting to keep the vibration from that big six-cylinder out of the cabin.
And safety was becoming a bigger deal too.
A huge deal. Safety glass in the windshield was standard, which was a major step forward. You could even get it in all the windows for a little extra money.
And they introduced the Fisher-No draft ventilation system.
The vent windows. A brilliant little piece of engineering. You could crack it open to pull stale air out of the car without getting a blast of wind in your face. It was the air conditioning of its day.
So what you have is this car that's sophisticated, comfortable, stylish, and somehow affordable. How did that all translate into sales?
They absolutely dominated. In 1933, Chevrolet produced over 486,000 vehicles.
In the depths of the Depression.
And of that total, the Master Eagle, the more expensive model, accounted for over 450,000 of them. Just a staggering number.
Which kept them at the #1 sales spot in America. But let's talk about that price. The range was, what, about $485 to $565?
Right, but you have to put that number in context. In 1933, the average family income for the entire year was only around $555.
So this car was a third of what a family made in a year. Buying one wasn't just a purchase. It was a huge, major life decision.
A monumental one. It was an act of faith in the future, really.
Let's talk about body styles. What were people buying?
Overwhelmingly, they were buying practical, closed cars. The two-door coach and the four-door sedan were the big sellers, over 162,000 of each. They were the family workhorses.
But the numbers for the open, sportier cars tell a different story.
A dramatic one. The convertible, just over 4,000 made, but the really rare one is the Phaeton, the four-door open tourer. Only 543 of those were ever built.
Wow. A true unicorn.
If you see one, you're looking at something incredibly special. And this year, 1933, was actually the last year Chevrolet offered any two-seater models at all.
Which is significant. It shows the market was shifting, right? People needed back seats. They needed utility.
The family car was becoming the standard. And one model, the Town Sedan, really pointed to the future. It had the first fully integrated metal trunk built right into the body.
Not just a box strapped to the back.
Exactly. It was a huge step towards modern car design.
So let's bring it to today. For someone who wants to own one of these, what are the challenges? We mentioned that wood framing.
And that's still the #1 issue, wood rot. If the car wasn't stored perfectly, the wooden structure under that metal skin can just fall apart. It's a massive job for a restorer.
So what are these cars worth today?
The range is pretty wide. You might find a project car for around $11,000 or so. But a perfect Concours quality restoration can go as high as $93,000.
And what's the median?
The middle of the market is right around $29,000.
I've heard that four-door models aren't as popular with collectors.
That's true, generally. They're considered less desirable, which is why you see a lot of them turned into hot rods. The good news for any restorer, though, is the engine.
The old Stobolt 6.
Yep. It's common, parts are still out there, and it's relatively easy to work on. It's the bodywork that will get you.
Before we wrap up, I want to share one last amazing detail. It's about the paint codes. If you find a car with paint code #132 in its records.
You know exactly how it looked leaving the factory. Paint code #132 meant black fenders and a black body with gold bronze pinstriping. And the wheels would have been either black or a color called Saint Germain red. Almost a century later, that level of detail still exists.
That's incredible. So, to sum it all up, The 1933 Chevrolet Master wasn't just a car that sold well, it was. It was like a Trojan horse for modern automotive technology.
It really was. It brought features like synchromesh and freewheeling to the masses. It gave the average American driver a powerful, comfortable, and stylish car at a price that, while a stretch, was still within reach.
A true testament to innovation when it was needed most.
And we mentioned that 1933 was the end of the line for two-seater body styles at Chevy.
Yeah.
That permanent shift away from the small, sporty cars makes you think, doesn't it?
What's the question it raises for you?
It makes you consider if this proves that even when money was at its tightest, what American consumers really wanted most was practicality. The shared utility of a family car with more interior space over just pure performance or a sporty look. It seems like the Depression may have fundamentally reset what we expected a car to be.